Hello everyone, welcome to a video of Carlike, and today I want to show you the coasting feature of the Audi A4 B9. So coasting in general means that the engine is turning off or goes to neutral in terms of RPM while you're driving. And of course, as you already assume, I guess, the reason for that is to, just consume less fuel. So as you can see right now, engine is already turned off while I'm driving 30 kilometers an hour. I just lifted the throttle and the engine or the electronic decided that it's the right time to turn the engine off. The parameters for the decision if the engine is going to be turned off or not, really turned to be off or just going into neutral mode, are a lot. So just to name a few of them, for example, first is the engine in a good, and the oil of the engine in a good temperature, then the engine turns off. The climate control, how's the weather outside? Do I need much power for the climate control? Then the engine doesn't turn off. In addition, is there a car driving really close in front of me where it makes more sense, as for example I would go down a hill, to go into recuperation mode? Then it also doesn't turn off. Right now it goes into recuperation mode because it knows that there's a speed limit heading up, and it makes more sense to use the brake from the recuperation than to turn the engine off. But in general, as long, and this is another parameter, you are in the eco or in the comfort mode and you just lift the throttle, the engine is turning off, as it's being done right now. And as you can see also here, you have no fuel consumption right now. The engine is turned off and the RPM is not at 0, but it's ready, which just means it's ready to be turned on as I put the throttle. What I'm going to do right now, and now it's up and running again. So now there's no car in front of me or just too far away, and if I lift now the throttle again, the engine is coasting and is turned off for that. So another reason for the coasting function not being activated is if you go into a zone where you have to drive a lot slower than what you actually drive. For example, if you drive 100 and it's necessary in about 200-300 meters to drive 70, then the engine recognizes, or the navigation system tells the engine not to be turned off because it makes more sense to recuperate until the speed limit sign is reached. And again, engine turns off. Well, it feels like a competition to turn off the engine as often as you can. So this, I would call it gamification factor they've implemented here, at least for me, is really much motivating. Quite funny. Now I'm again lifting the throttle, entering the city, and since I'm not that far above the speed limit, the engine is not turning on again in order to recuperate. Now I'm standing still because I have to wait on a roundabout, and engine was turned off. And also an interesting feature, if you are in a traffic jam or at a stopping at a roundabout or a traffic light, the engine usually turns off. And in the predecessor car I had, you had to push the throttle down in order to turn the engine on again, and then it took a little while for the engine first to turn on, to get into the right RPM, and then for the rest of the car to get, I would say, ready for driving. And this is kinda, I wouldn't say removed, but the time you have to wait got a little bit cut down, due to the fact that if the car recognizes that the car in front of you is already starting to drive and moving away from you, then the engine is already turned on without you putting down the throttle. So you just have to put down the throttle and then it's already ready to drive forward and everything's fine, you know? So also quite an interesting feature. So basically the coast function from my perspective is a very good one in order to save some fuel, and you can turn it off by turn off the engine start stop feature, which is also being used for standing on a traffic light, for example, or in a traffic jam. So if this annoys you, of course you can turn it off, but basically I think you gain a lot of fuel saving by using this feature. And since it's not recuperating, but really turned off, or at least goes into neutral mode, you don't lose that much speed. So I'm going to show you right now. I'm driving 100 kilometers an hour now, and I'm lifting now the pedal, the throttle, and you can see it turns off, and it's very slowly going down in terms of speed. Yeah, so I'm still at 90 kilometers per hour. Now it goes a little bit downhill. And now again it goes a little bit uphill, where I'm losing, of course, a little more. It already went back into neutral mode because it knew that it goes uphill, and I most probably will put the throttle down in a few seconds. So it's also quite intelligent, so to say. Yeah, if you have more questions to the coasting feature of the Audi A4 B9, just let me know in the comments. And if you like this Carlike video, then just give me a like, even a subscription if you want, and hope to see you next time again at Carlike. Thanks and bye bye.